All right, we are live. Hello, everybody. Are you excited? I am excited. Let me get things set up here on my side, and we should be good to go. All righty. As we kick off here and wait for a couple people to join, or however many people join, I would first like to know if you've come to one of these before. So, how I always start this, if you are a repeat, comment if this is your first time. So, just type in first time and comment repeat if you've come to one of these before. Spoiler alert, it's usually about 50% of the audience are people who have come to one of these live classes before. I'm setting a couple of things up on my side here, but we should be in good shape. Okay, cool. So we have Lauren, repeat, welcome. Another repeat here. Madeline, hello. Good to see you. Let's see if we have any first timers today. I'm still going to cover, first time, John, welcome. Or Josh, sorry. Good. Okay, cool. So keep commenting here. Thank you, Lauren. I appreciate it. All right. Big one today, sales process. I'm going to be walking through I say everything I know about designing a sales process, but that's a lot to cover in one webinar. For those of you who are first timers, I'll explain to you what to expect. How these work is I do about 30 minutes of content. We're going to go through some material I have put together. I have a framework for designing out sales processes that I'm going to share with you so you can go and build this out yourself. The real objective I have is to give you something that you can then use immediately. That's the goal. After this webinar, whether it be today or tomorrow, I would like you to sit down and actually go through the exercise that we walked through today. Design out your sales process. You'll know a lot more about how to do that. And that way you can start using a sales process and improving your sales process over time. That's ultimately the key. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I take a very data-driven approach when it comes to building out sales orgs. The foundation of that is by understanding what your sales process should look like. And it's going to look different for everybody, but there's some fundamentals that you need to know. So that's my promise to you, is to give you something very actionable that you can go and really start using today. At the end of that content, which is about 30 minutes, I'm going to do Q&A. Here's the rule with Q&A. I ask that if you have a question, please type in your question as it comes to you. And the reason why is because at the end of the webinar, as I transition from the content to the Q&A, I like to look and go, okay, who is... who has questions, answer those questions in the order that they came in. And it allows me to transition a lot quicker when you ask the question right when it popped up for you. So that's it. That's my little preamble. Is everything looking good on your end? I'm getting a little bit choppy here, and I want to make sure, is the stream coming through okay? Can y'all see me? That's an important piece of it. And while you're answering that question, I'm going to set us up here and go to our other one. So just type in look good. Okay, perfect. Okay. Sometimes the glitchiness is only on my side and your guys' stream looks good. Okay, perfect. So let's talk about everything that I know about designing a sales process. Again, type in questions as they come through. First, who is Kyle? That's a good question. I'm glad you asked. For those of you who are first timers here, just a quick run through of my background. I have worked with over 80 B2B SaaS and service companies, helping them build a repeatable sales process. Might be closer to 90 now. I got to recount at some point, but that's like a job that I don't feel like doing. So it's a lot. Worked with a lot of sales organizations. I've built a lot of sales teams. I've had just about every role that you can have across the sales org. And I really take a data-driven approach when it comes to building a sales team and building a sales process. I focus a lot on the process of selling. And my ultimate objective is to design a sales process that is proven to work so well that I can hire the average salespeople, have them execute the process, and then they'll hit their number. And then I do whatever I can do to not hire average salespeople and try to hire the best salespeople possible. I've written 3 Amazon best-selling books. One's on cold outreach. That's called Cold to Committed. The other is on leading sales team. And the most recent one is on building a repeatable sales process. That goes into 16 steps in order that you need to follow in order to build a repeatable sales process. More of a workbook, a lot of tools that you can use. I think it's really good. And then finally, I've helped our clients sell over 100 million in software and services, 280 million in money raised, and I've personally trained over 1,000 salespeople. So I've been around the block. I understand sales for both software companies, service companies, agencies, coaches, consultants, and even physical products. We have several clients that sell physical goods. Here's the main problem. Okay, I'm going to talk about a couple of them. The first is lack of consistency across reps. This is one of the more frustrating ones for me because I'm generally either building a sales team from scratch, which then this isn't a frustration, or we're working with somebody who has a small sales team, but the performance isn't all that well, or isn't they're not performing all that well. So the lack of consistency is frustrating because it's very difficult to figure out, is it a process problem or is it a rep problem? I'm actually curious, as I go through this, can you comment if you have experienced one of these before? That would be really helpful for me so I can maybe narrow this down for a few of you. The next here is the process changes a lot over time and especially early on. Actually, if everybody could do this, please participate. Type in if you have a sales team, how many reps you have, or if you are building a sales team for the first time, just type that in. Type in how many reps you have, or if you're building a sales team for the first time. Especially early on, the process changes a ton, right? You're like, oh, we're gonna try this, we're gonna try that. And that experimentation is really, really necessary early, but it's also can be a really difficult problem if you're not tracking things, you don't have a lot of conviction around the things that you're doing. And then the third one here is that there's no data to optimize the process. And this is what I see a lot at the early stage is we're not using data. We're not tracking metrics properly. And at first it's like, all right, who cares? We're just going to go super aggressive and try to close as many deals as possible. Love that. Very much love that. Hey, let's be a bull in a china shop and break all of these expensive bosses. Totally cool. The problem is eventually you're going to run into a situation where you need the data to figure out what you have to do to improve the sales team's performance. And that kind of data problem is one where you need to collect 30 days, 60 days, 90 days worth of performance metrics from the team to be able to make that kind of decision. It's nice to have that data from the beginning. So that's what I encourage. And let me look here real fast. We got building a team, 1 rep, trying to build, okay, 5 people, good. Bruce, 2 reps, Sam, 1 rep. Great, perfect. I'm glad everybody here, with the exception of Lauren, seems like that you have a couple of salespeople. So this is great. And Lauren, this is still going to be appropriate for you as you build your first sales rep. I like your first sales rep, just for you, Lauren. I like the first sales rep to be somebody that I hire to take over a process that I am doing. Right. And you may need to make some tweaks to what you're currently doing, especially if you're a little bit like all over the place because you're doing a whole bunch of different jobs and sales is one of them. But if we add a little bit of structure there, it's usually very, very useful. Okay. There's a big opportunity here about being more intentional about your sales process and tracking your sales process properly. Is it creates this link between the actions being taken and then the results that they generate. So a lot of times we're looking at deals closed. That's a lagging indicator of success. It's kind of the indicator of success, really, right? It's just how much revenue are we closing? The leading indicator are the activities that result in those outcomes. And for AEs, those activities might be doing demos. Maybe they do their own prospecting and they're doing their own outreach as well. You can even go a step further and talk about how many leads is marketing generating, right? And then the outcomes being the deals closed. For SDRs who do a lot of cold calling or they work marketing leads, in either case, their outcome are meetings booked. That might be the leading indicator for an AE, but for an SDR, that becomes the lagging indicator, and the leading indicator are the activities they're doing. And creating that link is really important to be able to have some consistency with your sales process to know mathematically how does this whole org function. The next one here is this allows you to make a data-driven decision. Always need to be data-driven with our decision. Now I say that, but we do sometimes have to make decision with limited data. So just to be clear, it's not always going to be the perfect data decision, but the more data we can use to make a decision, the better. And I think even if you have to decide quickly, just having a little bit of data can help make that decision a lot better. Side note, and we're not going to get into this much today, the data is always how I manage too. So I manage the team, letting the data do the talking. If the team's struggling or a specific rep is struggling, I don't have to come in there and say like, hey, you are doing bad. I can say, hey, look at the data. Looks like you're doing bad, right? The data is the bad guy, right? And it's not lying to me. So it's less emotional about, I don't think you're doing a good job. And because there is times, and comment if you ever had this experience where you're talking to sales rep, they think they're doing the best they can, but they're just not hitting their number. And then you're in a position where you're like, hey, is this rep suck? Am I the worst leader of all time? Are our leads terrible? Are we in the wrong market? My product bad? That's frustrating. The data helps you figure all of that out. And then the third thing here is reps know what they have to do to be successful. I'm going to elaborate a little bit on this one here. There are 3 poisons for a sales team. The first is this one. The reps don't know what they have to do on a daily basis to hit their number. Super, super important. The second one here is that the leadership team doesn't know how to use the data to enable their team to be successful. And the third one, which sometimes is the outcome of the first two, is that there's a culture. There's a culture where poor performance is tolerated. Okay. That's a big problem. Those are the things that you really want to look at and make sure aren't happening in your organization. I am looking into, is this thing named wrong? Is everybody seeing the wrong name? Sorry about that. I don't know why that's happening. Everything looks right on my side. Okay, cool. Let's go to the promise. By the end of this, you'll have a framework to map out exactly what has to happen to get a deal done, to close a deal. And there's 3 core principles we're going to be walking through, and then I'm going to share with you a framework and how to use it in order to design out that sales process. The first is it must be flexible. Your sales process must be flexible, because just because you have a sales process doesn't mean the buyer cares about it all that much. They have their own buying process a lot of time too. In fact, if you can comment, do you sell kind of more transactional deals? So let's say the SMB, less than 30-day sales cycles, probably more like 14-day average sales cycle. So I'd say SMB, do you sell to SMB? Mid-market, where maybe you're selling a deal and it takes 3 to 6 months maybe in an ideal world in order to close a deal, or do you sell to the enterprise, much larger organizations? Type in which one that you sell to. And the key here is we want to make sure, I said flexible, but we're actually on an objective. I misread it, sorry. I'm going to go to flexible here because that's what I'm talking about. You want to make sure that your sales process is flexible enough to accommodate the buying process of the buyer, but it also still must be objective, where the feelings of the sales rep doesn't indicate or doesn't impact what stage they're in of the sales process. Because if you have every sales rep using feelings and it's not super clear how they're supposed to use each deal stage, then you can't use that deal stage data in order to make decisions on where you need to focus in order to improve the sales performance. And the third one here is really related to that. It must be really measurable. We want to make sure that we have a clear, measurable sales process where we know a deal comes in over here, it exits over here, and the length of time and the drop off and all of the metrics help us understand which part of our process needs the most work. And our process is built in a way to where it's resilient for different types of buying processes. Okay. How we do this is we use something called the sales process designer. Okay. The sales process designer is a tool that I developed to help us get a lot of clarity around what our sales process looks like, both for the average sale as well as the occasional one-off extra meeting and stuff that has to take place. A couple of things that I'm going to talk about here. Give me 1 second. Okay. I'm going to hold this up for a second. Let me break down what you're looking at. I'm going to move my mouse over here. We have the different deal stages. I put 4 here. That covers a lot of sales processes. Sometimes for more enterprise level selling, you have a lot more than that. That's okay. But generally, even on the enterprise, you have these 4 main deal stages. The blank boxes above each stage, these are the meetings. So the meetings that are required in that deal stage, or I shouldn't say required, could happen within that deal stage. We're going to go through some examples shortly and you'll see what I mean. So in deal stage 1, maybe you're doing a qualification call. Maybe you're doing a demo. Deal stage 2, maybe you're doing the demo. Maybe it's more of a technical review with somebody. Maybe you're doing a meeting where you go through a demo with the users of the solution. So you're expanding on what meetings have to happen, and you're keeping them within different deal stages, even if they're optional. Maybe not every company is going to use them, but that's okay. They're all still within this deal stage. And then finally, we have exit criteria. And the exit criteria is very clear. Like, hey, this is what has to be true objectively. They scheduled the demo. They signed an NDA or we signed their NDA, whatever it is. That's objective. That is exit criteria to go from one stage to the next. This helps every sales rep use the same definitions, which is key here. That's what I really want to impress upon you, that we keep a lot of the same definitions. So let's go through each one of these one by one. First are deal stages. They're critical for getting information from your sales process and quickly identifying bottlenecks. I can actually show you an example of how I use this in a minute in a different place. I'll pull that up and I'll show it to you in real time. Here's what I see. There's a couple big mistakes, but one of the big ones are they'll keep their deal stages pretty ambiguous. So they'll use general stages like demo, close won, close lost. And the problem is it doesn't give us the information we need to actually improve the sales process, because you may have met with them a handful of times after the demo in order to close a deal, but all we had was demo. Or let's say you sell like an agency service, you might do a qualification call, then you might do a walkthrough of your offering. Then you might do one more proposal call where you walk through the proposal, and then they're close won and close lost. If all of those steps are all in one stage, and then you go to close won and close lost, not good, because now we don't know where things are actually dropping off. Is it from when we walk through the proposal? Is it before the proposal? When is it, right? Deal stages need to represent your actual sales cycle, okay? I want it to be very clear. So if we were talking about that example, you might have qualification, then evaluation, where you're doing the walkthrough of your solution, and then proposal. Then you'd have 3. And then close won and close lost would be the kind of the final stage, but that's not in the sales process designer. We don't have a step for close won and close lost. That's like an outcome, right? There's no meetings and stuff there. So here's the action step here. Decide on how many stages you need and write out which deal stages make the most sense for your company. Here's an example. We have discovery, demonstration, and evaluating. We're going to go over what meetings would be under this and the exit criteria later, but this would be an example for more of a mid-market sale. Hey, we do this discovery call in the very, very beginning. That also helps us qualify. Then we do a demo of the solution. And then also they're in this mode where they're evaluating. Like maybe we have to do other meetings during the evaluation. Like we have to meet with procurement, or we have to meet with this security team, whatever it might be. All right. Next is we have meetings. So meetings are the meetings that take place throughout the sales cycle, and knowing which ones have to happen in order for you to win a sale is super important. The first reason why is it allows you to match your sales process to the buyer's unique buying process. It's very often when I'm listening to sales calls or when we're working with our clients where we're going through, we're like, gosh, why are all of your deals just completely fizzling after the demo? This is super common. And maybe if you've experienced that, where you get a lot of people who ghost after the demo, comment here below. And then out of nowhere, it seems like they revive and then they'll actually buy. This is more common for upper mid-market enterprise level selling. SMB, you're selling, it's very contained on that call because you're trying to do one call closes typically. The problem here is there was a bunch of stuff happening in between the demo and them actually deciding to move forward. It's just, we don't know what that stuff is. And I want to know what that stuff is, because that stuff allows us to have a little bit more control over the sale. If we're uneducated on how they buy, it's very difficult for us to be a good resource for them to actually buy. Number 2 here is it allows you to understand the capacity of your sales team. When you can visually see this rep has a whole bunch of deals in deal stage 2, and I know deal stage 2 is the one that has the most work associated with it, the most meetings are possible. I know this sales rep is working a lot of deals, but if I have a rep where most of their deals are deal stage 1 or it's later stage pipeline, I know they got time because there's probably less stuff to do around that time. Or maybe it's different. Maybe the later stage stuff takes a lot more work. This gives you an idea of capacity. So the next action step here that you're going to do is you're going to, for each deal stage, have a list of possible meetings that take place. Not every buyer will require all of these meetings, but you should know that they are a possibility, especially for your salespeople, because they can suss out if this is real or not. So right here, you can see under that same example for the mid-market, we have a discovery call. That's under the discovery section, shocking. And then we have demonstration. This is where we do a product demo or we do a technical review. And then we have evaluating. That's where we'll do a pricing call. Now, all 3 of those or all 4 of those meetings may be mandatory. but some of them, maybe a technical review isn't always mandatory. So that would be an optional step. And you might have a lot of optional ones. It's important to have those so your sales reps know these are meetings that could possibly take place. You can say things like, hey, typically when I talk to CEOs who are interested in rolling something like this out, they want us to meet with the IT team and do a technical review to make sure that's going to integrate well into your current tech stack. Is that something you're going to require as well? That's great. Because now the rep is showing not only do we have a good solution, but I also understand what probably needs to get done in order to make sure that this solution is going to work really well for you. Build a lot of professionalism, builds a lot of credibility, right? So that's key here. So that's the next thing that you're going to do. You're going to spend some time and you're really going to build out what meetings are required for your sales process. And then the next here is we have exit criteria. Every deal stage needs criteria that is required in order for it to progress to the next stage. Now, this is where I see a lot of people ignore or they don't enforce it very well. And the problem when you do that is, like, here's a clear example, is reps will use different definitions for things. So let's say you have a discovery call and they go to a demo. And rep A has a discovery call with someone, says, great, let's book the demo right now. And they book the demo on that call and then they're good. They move the deal stage over. They moved the deal stage over because they had a discovery call that went well. And that prospect on that call booked a demo with them. Now, rep B has a conversation with somebody. It goes well. And they're like, perfect, let's schedule the demo. And they're like, can you shoot me an email? Because I also want to get so-and-so involved. It's just too hectic for us to do it now. Yeah, not a problem. They get off that call. They send an email to schedule the demo. And then they move it from deal stage 1 to deal stage 2. There's a huge difference between these two. One is indication that the demo resulted in a meeting being booked. The other one is the discovery call resulted in a demo being booked. The other one shows that the discovery resulted in somebody saying they will book one. That's a totally different commitment level. And if you have those blended, it's very difficult to figure out, are people not showing up because they're not booking the demo and they're just saying they would and then they ghost us? Or are they not showing up to the demo that they booked? Those are two totally different problems to solve. That's why this kind of stuff is so important. So good exit criteria has the following rules. They are objective, so they're not open to interpretation. They are required. All must be satisfied in order to move on, with a little asterisk, except the optional meetings. So you're going to have your requirements, but then there's also going to be some optional meetings that you'll put there. And then they are followed. No deal can move stages without it. Very, very important. So here's the action step. It's to write out your exit criteria for each stage. So let's go through some examples here. So you can see we have discovery call conducted, demo scheduled. Then it goes to the demonstration. Demonstration conducted, technical review conducted if needed. So that would actually, if that was a requirement, it has to be completed before they would be able to move stage. Another thing that happens, by the way, is a sales rep will do the actual demo, move them to evaluating, because their main point of contact is still like going through the rest of the sales process, but they have a technical review they still need to do. You have to decide, like, do you want to make sure that technical review happens before they move them into evaluating because it's going to hold up the deal? Or is that okay with you? Like, these are types of decisions that you make when you're building out your sales process. And then prospect indicates that your solution meets their needs. They told me, this is what we're looking for. And then next step is scheduled. And I usually include that in every exit criteria. And then finally, we have contract signed. Exit criteria, contract actually signed. That's, they close one. Along this journey, obviously, they can close loss anytime. Here are some examples for you for SMB, mid-market, and enterprise. So I'm going to give you a moment to take a screenshot of this if you'd like one. Actually, can you even read that? Can you say yes if you can read that? You might not be able to read that. And if that's the case, I will give you at the end of this, I will give you a link to this these examples here. Okay. So let me see. I believe that's all from Oh yeah. Let's cover this real quick too. Let's cover this real fast, and then we'll go into Q&A here. Give me a minute. We'll go into Q&A. Okay. So why does this all work? Well, the reason is it covers all the important areas of building a repeatable sales process. Having this kind of clarity around what your sales process looks like is the prerequisite for it being repeatable. It makes it really easy for you to identify the gaps. Since you're using the same definition across all of your sales reps, you can see the different gaps there. And then it forces you to actually build a process. And that's the big encouragement I'm always giving to people. Force yourself to actually build the sales process. Take the time to do this. And then when you're working with the salespeople, make sure they're following that process too. And then as you shift your focus away from just like random sales management stuff and you start shifting more towards the data, which is part of the sales management stuff, by the way, but you start shifting more towards the data, you get more adherence on your process because you're showing the reps like, hey, we have a high drop-off rate between deal stage 1 and deal stage 2. Why do you think that is? What can we try to improve it? And then you can measure those improvements. Really, really important to think of it this way. Okay, we are going to transition here to Q&A. Before we do that, I have a video for you. Just give me like 2 minutes here. I'm going to play a video, and I'm also going to grab a water. A founder trying to build a repeatable sales process without decades of sales experience, watch and listen carefully. Because what I'm about to show you will stop you from wasting years of trial and error and instead give you a proven sales process designed by experts and fine-tuned in real time by our proprietary AI. In fact, we've used this process to help over 80 B2B SaaS and service companies add more than 133 million in revenue by bringing the sales expertise they didn't have and compressing years of trial and error into a predictable growth framework. Like Robert Ewan, founder of Monograph, who we've helped build their first sales team, raise 2 rounds of capital, and 3x the revenue all in 11 months. Or Matt Prados, founder of ReviewWave, who we helped grow, optimize, and scale their sales team to get back on track with 200% yearly growth goals. And the best part is, you get this consistent growth without wasting years on trial and error, piecing together random tactics, or trying to play sales expert yourself. Here's the thing. Most founders try to solve this problem in one of 2 ways. They either try to figure it out themselves, burning years on trial and error, or they hire and hope. Hire a sales rep and hope that they magically build the process for them. Neither works. Without real sales expertise, doing it yourself takes years you don't have. And without a proven system, that new hire is set up to fail. Our approach is different. We design your team and sales process together, create the playbooks they need, coach them in real time, and use our proprietary AI to analyze every sales call and metric. Then we work with you to turn those insights into improvements. What this really means is that when you work with us, you're no longer guessing. You gain a dedicated go-to-market team who builds the systems with you and makes sure it actually works. In fact, I guarantee it. We'll come in and build a completely tailored sales roadmap that details exactly what needs to happen, when it needs to happen, and we implement it into your business. And if you're not 1000% convinced that this document is the holy grail of your growth goals, we'll tear up the agreement and part ways as friends. Why would we do that? Simple. We only work with people we are certain we can help. Like David Goss from Bureau of Small Projects, who had a 266% revenue increase in 10 months by focusing on how deals were being managed and using that data to optimize the sales process. Or Chris Greco from StoreWise, who we helped lock in the best quarter in company history while working together. So if you're hearing this and thinking, these guys have the sales experience I'm missing, they've done this for other founders just like me, and they actually guarantee I'll get a clear, repeatable system, then the next step is simple. Beneath this video is a button to schedule a free Accelerate call. It's where we'll sit down, take a look at your business, results, systems, team, and everything in between. Next, we'll explore if and how we can help accelerate your sales and what that looks like. So click the button and you'll get a couple of quick questions to make sure we're in the right place. And on step number 2, you'll be directed to a calendar to schedule a time that works. So why does our approach... Alrighty. Am I back? Yes, I am back. Cool. See, brief commercial break, and I'm back ready to rock. So we're going to do Q&A. Type in any questions that you have. I think what I'm going to do, since there's no questions yet, is I'm going to show you a little bit of this in action. I wasn't planning on doing this, but let me log into our thing and let's do this. I think you will appreciate it. So one of the things that we do, so we look at a lot of these metrics. Oh, we're looking at these metrics constantly. And is this going to be a good, oh, you know what? I think we have to go to the other. Let's make sure that this is correct. Yeah. Okay. So this, I'll show you part of this here. We're rolling out so we built a tool. Maybe some of you might know this already because I've brought it up before, but we built a internal tool, and we're rolling out our HubSpot integration right now. So our dashboard isn't fully back and ready yet, but this is what we use with our clients to look at their sales metrics. So this is like I hid the client here, so you can't see who they are. Their information is hidden. But I want to show you what we're doing. Now, a big part of this too is I show the different deal stages and what the drop off was. That report we had to do some changes with because we had to change our database or how we structure our database to accommodate the new HubSpot integration. But everything else works with the HubSpot integration. So this is all real time. Now, you can see like their all-time metrics here. You can see their all-time win rate. You can see the revenue-based win rate as well, which is, some people only look at revenue-based. Some people look at actual like unit-based win rate. Also average days in the sales cycle, average deal size, etc. And we can also see sales velocity, active pipeline, and then what's projected to close of that active pipeline. And then there's these certain metrics here. These are rolling metrics. They're the ones that can be rolling, which are these three. So right now their rolling win rate is 14%. Oh, can you guys not see what I'm doing? Jesus. Okay, there you go. My fault. Okay, so as you can see, we're looking at a dashboard. It's nice to actually be able to see what I'm talking about. Thank you, Kimberly. You're the real hero here. You can see sales velocity, active pipeline. These metrics here are rolling. So here's a unique thing. There's a lot of reasons why we built this out. Part of it is to have a better handle on the metrics that you can't really build out easily in HubSpot. And the other reason, or HubSpot and other CRMs, we work with a lot of different CRMs. But the reason why, so that's part of the reason why, but the other reason why is because we use a lot of AI to do different things that I can show you if you guys are interested in that, but mainly I wanted to show you this. So right here, we're looking at the rolling 6 months average deal size, average win rate, and average sales cycle, rolling 6 months. And this is a pretty unique way of doing it. As opposed to taking the all-time metric or year-to-date metric, we do a rolling metric because we feel like it gives us a much better sense of the kind of the team's current performance. And if you're looking at this, you're probably thinking, wait, the win rate is 14.12. It was 33. The current all-time is 33. So the founder used to do all the selling, and it was really just based on his network. So his early win rate was really, really high. And then he hired a sales rep. They started doing more marketing lead gen stuff as well as some outbound stuff. So their win rate has dropped from the founder doing it themselves, but they're dealing with a lot more leads and stuff now. Okay, and now what's cool here is we can also see these metrics based on a time frame. So I can filter everything below here. And actually, why don't we do that? Why don't we just say, let's just do year to date. And then we'll do, let's just end it last month. So we're just looking at a full thing and we'll apply here. Oh, did we not have, I wonder what happened there. Maybe we might be missing some of the stuff here. Okay. Either way, I'll just show you all time here so we can use it as a good example. Again, for those of you who missed it, we just rolled out our integration to HubSpot. So things are still a little tricky. That's why this says new. This is our AE new dashboard. It's in beta, as we say. Okay, so you can see like we're looking at close one, and we can see that monthly. We can also go quarterly and just see based on the quarter what it looks like, but I usually keep these things monthly. You can see close one. We can also see our win rate as well, and it'll do both of them too. It'll show you them side by side. In this case, I don't want closed one, so I'm going to remove that. So you can see how these things, the win rate has shifted over time. You can do what revenue, win rate, all of that. In addition, what I really wanted to show you, but because we're switching things over in the production environment, I can't right now, is we'll also look at the different deal stages and where the drop-off rates are and things like that. So that's an important thing for me to be able to get a good understanding of how the team is performing. Now, in the CRM, you can see some of this stuff just out of the box. And that's ultimately what I want to encourage you to do is use your CRM and look at the performance of your team and go, okay, how are we doing? What deal stages are we struggling with? What's working well? What isn't working well? And then you make improvements to your sales process based on that. That's ultimately what I'm encouraging you to do. Here, I'm going to throw in the link to the sales process designer, so you guys have that too. I don't see any questions come through, which is rare, but that's okay. So I'm going to wind down. There's the sales process designer. If you guys would like to use the material that we just walked through. Also, if you're building out your first sales team or you have a sales team right now that isn't performing as well as you'd like them to perform, we have ways to work with any size organization. Here's a link to schedule a meeting with me. I am out of town next week. I'm speaking at a conference. So I'm going to be out of town. Monday's open, but other than that, it's I'll be out of town. But the week after that, I'll be back to normal stuff. So feel free to schedule some time. We don't work with a lot of customers. It doesn't really matter your size. We have clients of ours that are doing $100 million a year in top line revenue. We also have clients that are doing $500K in ARR. So reach out. Happy to have a conversation with you about your current sales process. I'll make some recommendations on what I would do if I was in your shoes. I'll be very transparent with you if I feel like there's a good fit or not. If you have any questions in the meantime, never hesitate to reach out. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.